All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Sunflower Showdown. I'm Jaden Armont, got my man Liam with me, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Kansas sports. So, getting straight into it, Kansas State plays Mississippi State tonight at 9:30 p.m. Mississippi State, not a great scoring team, but they defend the three pretty well. Um, that could be a problem for Kansas State just because that's what they specialize in. They are the one of the best shooting teams in the country, but they were kind of sloppy last game against Tulsa. That was probably their worst offensive performance of the season. Even though it was a comeback win, it felt like it was more of a loss. It was really the heroics of David Castillo and PJ Haggerty. Abdi Bashir Jr. Still hasn't really gotten going this season, which could be a good thing, showing that such a star player can take a back seat in what is a powerful offensive team. But like it also, you want to see him break out because he's a guy that can get 20 points on a given night, and he's only averaging 12 this season.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see how K State matched up with the SEC team like Mississippi State. K State's off to a great 4-0 start. They beat the ACC team in Cal, and they've also gotten some other good wins this season. I mean, you can never complain about being 4-0, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up with another power conference team.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I was telling myself is, it's good to see them get some, play against the SEC team because, the opponents that they've had so far haven't really been, too much to write home about. We're really going to see what they can do in the conference play, but, I'm very excited to see what they do tonight.
Yeah,
Just a little recap of what they did against Tulsa. Like I said, 84 points. PJ Haggerty had 31. He had 27 in the second half. David Castillo, a guy that I wasn't really sure where he fit on the team. He's doing pretty well this season. He's averaging 13 and a half points, shooting 65% from the field. He knocked down like his first 10 shots of the season. Obviously, you knew he wasn't going to keep that up, but good to see, that spark off the bench. And we talked about, like I said, Abdi Bashir Jr., PJ Haggerty, Nate Johnson, Kamari McGriff. David Castillo could be another guy that, weren't even really talking about going into the season, but that could, boost K State, like I said, off the bench and in the backcourt.
yeah. I mean, it's cool to see these other guys step up for Kansas State. I mean, you know about Haggerty, great player there, great scorer, but they're going to need more people to step up this season if they want to compete at a high level in the Big 12. So seeing other guys like that step up is really encouraging.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I will say Haggerty, he needs to fix his turnovers and personal fouls, but aside from that, he's been playing pretty well. Um, but heading over to talk a little bit about football. Obviously, this is probably the biggest matchup of the season for Kansas State, aside from the Texas Tech game. They're playing another ranked opponent in Utah, who them and BYU are currently surprisingly on the outside of the postseason look. So you have to imagine Utah's going to want to come in and dominate Kansas State to really establish themselves as a playoff contender. Like I said, number 12 in the country right now. They do really good at running the ball, not just with their running backs, but their quarterback runs pretty well. They get receivers in the run game. They get tight ends to block on the edge. So Kansas State is going to need to do what they've done all season really well, which is create turnovers. They've been one of the best teams in the country in terms of turning the ball over. They're going to really need to lean into that. And then obviously with Jace Brown being done for the rest of the season, Avery Johnson's going to need to find guys like Jerron Tibbs, maybe get Lincoln Cure in the game a little bit, who hasn't really been as big of an impact player as we thought he was going to be. And then, keep finding guys like Garrett Oakley and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is definitely a very tough matchup for Kansas State, like you said, and now K State's down probably their two biggest weapons going into the season, Dylan Edwards and Jace Brown. So it's really going to fall on the shoulders of Avery Johnson now for the rest of the season. But tough game this weekend. But if you want to get to that 6th win, I think it's got to come at home against Colorado. Definitely the game that you're looking at there for them to get the 6th win. if they can compete, make it a game against Utah, then you're feeling really good going into the final game of the season.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think Utah is going to be their team to beat. I think they're going to have to get it against Colorado. So I think whatever they show against the Utes is just kind of what it is. There's not really any expectations for it, so it's kind of like if they lose, that was kind of be expected. But I think it would say more about them if they won, or like you said, kept it competitive.
Yeah, and I mean it'll be interesting to see if a player like Avery Johnson, he's been playing pretty good this season. He's had some low moments, but he's been playing pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how he ends this season because with the transfer portal and all things like that, every player's future is always up in hands and what they're going to figure out, what they're going to do. I know he loves Kansas State and he chose to go there, but you never know with these players' futures, and we'll see what he does. But if he can end on a high note, I'm sure he'll uh, come back to Kansas State.
No, yeah, for sure. I think it's been a decent season. Not quite what fans wanted, but I think if he comes back, he can really start to establish something. Um, so yeah. And then before I hand it off to you, just want to plug a few of the newest recruits. Carnell Jackson Jr., 3-star defensive end out of Auburn. And then Sam Dolphins, he's a 5-star long snapper from New England. Just, adding to that 2026 recruiting class. Hopefully they can, contribute to the team as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, always good to have those good recruits, in-state guys, out-of-state guys. But it'll be interesting to see how they gel into the program. And Kansas State has always been a team that brings these guys in as freshmen and develop them as they get older. So it'll be interesting to see how they fit in there. But we can just kind of move on to KU now, unless you have any last thoughts about the Wildcats and K-State.
No, I think that's it. Let's talk some Kansas basketball and football.
Sounds good. It's been a pretty crazy week with KU basketball, if I could find a word to describe it. I mean, they played Duke in the Champions Classic, and of course, this whole Darren Peterson situation, and then they signed their early signing class. All 4 recruits in that class signed, and now Kansas has a number 2 class 2026 according to ESPN. So they got some really good four great recruits there. Of course, the 5-star Talon Kinney, point guard from Overtime Elite, and then Davion Atkins, Trent Perry, and the sharpshooter Luke Barnett, all other 4 stars. And then Kansas apparently still in the mix for Tyron Stokes. You never know what will happen there. It was looking like he was leaning towards Kentucky or other schools, but Kansas made his final 3, and he still has yet to announce a commitment. I don't know if it'll come in this early signing period, but if he's a player that Kansas can pick up again, that'll probably move them up to that number 1 class, and just another great class for Bill Self and his staff. But if they can land Talon Kinney and Tyron Stokes, those 2 of the best guards in the class 2026. So just obviously you want to try to get him, but if they can't get him, Bill Self was talking about how they wanted to add one more guy in that signing class. So I would expect them to get one more player there, but so far they signed those 4 players. But then with Kansas basketball going against Duke on Tuesday in Madison Square Garden, Champions Classic, Darren Peterson did not play, but there was a lot of positives to take away from that game. Bill Self, was asked after the game if he takes any away from this game. Playing Duke without your best player, Madison Square Garden. He kind of was just asked if he was happy with the result, taking any moral victories, and he said, great question, but no. But he said he was not feeling discouraged at all from the game. I mean, Trey White, Melvin Council Jr., they really contributed well. They attacked the basket, put a lot of rim pressure on Duke. And considering Kansas did not have Darren Peterson against the number 5 team in the country, very talented Duke team, I think it was a pretty good showing from the Jayhawks. I don't know what you thought of the game if you were able to watch that one, but if you were, did you have any takeaways from that game and what you saw?
No, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect, Bill Self to be, have like a moral victory. But you know, being able to keep it competitive against, like you said, a top five team in the country. And you have to imagine if Darren Peterson was in this game, they probably would have won. So I was very pleased with what I saw.
Yeah, I'm sure KU fans would have liked to see Darren Peterson play, but
Hmm.
obviously he did not. And overall, I think it was a pretty good showing from the team. They probably left Madison Square Garden feeling pretty good about what this team can be. I mean, they're never going to make more threes than another team. They're never going to out execute another team to win the game, but they just seem very gritty. They jump for loose balls. They attack the rim very well. Just very kind of just trying to out hustle everyone is kind of the blueprint for this team. And then when there was times where it looked like they couldn't score, they kind of struggled to generate offense in the half court. They were getting out in transition really well, forcing turnovers. But that half court offense will come from Darren Peterson. So once he's healthy, once he's back, I'm really excited to see what this team can do. But overall, feeling pretty good. I know they're 3-2 this time, but they got the Players Era Festival coming up, loaded games there with everyone. But just kind of talk about Darren Peterson's status. It's kind of been confirmed that's a hamstring strain now. It's been a hamstring issue. It started with cramps and all that, but I think it is a hamstring strain confirmed now. Tightness there, but Bill Self seemed pretty optimistic after the Duke game. He said he didn't think it would be too long. Kansas got a week of rest now before they play again on Monday. So hopefully Darren Peterson will be back by then because obviously he's a great player and whatnot. But moving on to next week, Kansas will be in the Players Era Festival, this new tournament. I think the winner of the tournament gets some NIL money for their program, so there's a lot on the line in this game. But there's loaded programs. Kansas will take on Notre Dame and Syracuse in the group play, and then I think the teams that do the best in those games, they move on to the tournament championship style thing. But, I mean, it's just a loaded pool of teams there. I mean, you got Tennessee, Creighton, Baylor, Kansas, of course, St. John's, Iowa State, Houston, Auburn, Oregon, Alabama. I mean, just pretty much all the top programs in the country coming together for one tournament. I don't know what you think about that, what you think about these in-season tournaments now in college football. I mean, I know I have all these college basketball fans love like the Maui Invitational and all these Feast Week tournaments, but some fans are kind of thinking they might not really survive this NIL era because if there's tournaments that are offering up NIL money for winners, obviously schools are going to be more inclined to go to them. I mean, what do you think about these NIL-based tournaments?
I mean, I've never really basketball is basketball to me. I'll always watch. I've never really paid attention to specifically if it's a in season tournament game or not. But I think playing with the NIL money, I've always been a fan of athletes getting paid what they're supposed to get. I sometimes am concerned though about how much it does impact the game. But I think adding that extra incentive makes it a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seeing these schools, I think it makes it just much more competitive in the early season. I know March Madness, that tournament's very competitive. That's one of the best postseason tournaments in sports. But if you're able to play for money, NIL money early in the season, it's super competitive. I know last season I watched a little bit of the Players Era tournament, and it was really fun to watch just because of how competitive it is. And I mean, if there's NIL money on the line, these players deserve to get paid. They deserve to get money for their hard work.
Right.
If that money's on the line in these tournaments, it just makes it that much more competitive. But hopefully Kansas can get Darren Peterson back for this tournament because it's just so much fun. There's so many good coaches. There's so many good players, so many good programs, and it should be a really fun week in Vegas. Right. Excited to watch that. But Kansas will start off with Notre Dame on Monday. That game tips off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. I think it'll be broadcast on TNT. So great matchup there for Kansas. Hopefully they're coming in fully healthy with Darren Peterson, and they can kind of just build that non-conference resume because they haven't. I mean, they lost to North Carolina and Duke, two great programs, great teams, but you're going to want to start to pick up some of those non-conference wins against prestigious programs. But Yeah, I don't know how much of the KU basketball team you watched this season, but what are kind of your thoughts on the team so far, if you have any?
Just kind of like you said, I would love to see Darren Peterson back as the projected number one draft pick in a lot of people's eyes. He does need to start building, some type of rapport. Only playing because he's played like what 3 games this season?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Or
Yeah,
two, I think, only, really.
2. Okay, yeah. I was about to say 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to see him get back on the court. Then we can really evaluate what this team could do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a missing piece there. When he comes back, we'll kind of see the full ceiling of him, but doesn't sound like it'll be too long term of an issue. So hopefully he'll be back. But kind of moving on to the football side, Kansas, they just had this bye week last week. Hopefully the team was able to get healthy and prepare for the matchup they got on Saturday at Iowa State. They got Iowa State and Utah left. No, Kansas State will play Utah this weekend. Great team, and then Iowa State here on the road. It's kind of honestly the last chance Kansas has to secure that bowl game. Utah's a very good team. It's at home, but it'll be on Black Friday morning kickoff. I'm not sure how many fans will be there. Hopefully it'll be a good environment, but just not sure about that one right now. But I think a chance comes on Saturday against Iowa State on the road, but Lance Leipold has kind of had Iowa State's number since he got to KU. It's a great matchup. I mean, Rocco Becht, great player, great quarterback for Iowa State. Iowa State's just one of those premier programs in the Big 12, and Kansas is going to have to really just settle down and lock in for this game because I think it's the last chance that the Jayhawks really do have a chance in this game to come away with a win and secure that bowl game. And I think the team will be playing for that. They know that this is really their good chance to get to that 6th win, get to the bowl game. This is Jalon Daniels. Last 2 games of his career at Kansas, he's been here for a very long time now. Jayhawk fans know him very well, and I mean,
Right.
if he wants to go out on the right foot, build his finals legacy here, he's going to have to get to that bowl game and just end on a good run. So hopefully Kansas can find a way to win that game. I mean, I just have a couple keys to that game. The defense played much better against Arizona until that final drive. So if the defense can build off that momentum, get going there, it'll give Kansas a big advantage there. Do you have any keys to this one, or what do you want to see from Kansas in this game?
Iowa State is not an unbeatable team. I do think they're a good team though. So I do think Kansas, their defense has been very questionable all season. I think they like I said last week, they really need to stop the run. And Jalon Daniels, he just needs to play a clean game. He's had some games this season, like against Cincinnati, where he had like 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he's definitely capable of playing at an elite level. I just think it's about the carelessness sometimes. So I think he just needs to maintain that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very talented quarterback. He's been in college football for a long time now. He's probably seen it all. If he hasn't seen it all, he's seen a lot. He knows what to expect in these games. He's played Iowa State a couple times in his career. But like you said, he's very talented. He's just got to limit those turnovers.
Right.
I think just kind of being these last couple games in his career, I think he'll be playing with a purpose. Not that he doesn't normally, but I think this just kind of means more to him.
Right.
These last couple games as a Jayhawk, hopefully he can play very well. I mean, he's very talented with his legs. He makes teams kind of hone in on that. And when he's not fumbling, he's a very good runner. So hopefully he can do that. And then just kind of get the run game going as well. I mean, LaShawn Williams, Daniel Highshaw, they haven't really been healthy at the same time this season, but when they're healthy together, they're a really good backfield. So
Yeah.
not sure what their full status is. I know the Big 12 releases those injury reports. I think we'll get one here tonight. We'll see what their statuses are. I know that they've both been dealing with some nagging injuries, but if they can both be healthy and just kind of move into this. Kansas had this late bye week, so hopefully the team has been able to get healthy moving into the last 2 games where they need to get that last chance to bowl game. They're 5-5 right now, and then 2 tough opponents coming up ahead. But like you said, I think Iowa State is definitely beatable, but it's not just going to be an easy game. Kansas is going to have to bring their best foot forward to be able to beat the Iowa State Cyclones in this one. So looking forward to that one, though. Should be a fun game. Should be a fun environment in Ames. But we'll see what happens there. Do you have any last thoughts about that game before we kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, kind of just like we said before. This is kind of just it for them. I don't imagine they beat Utah because I think even if Utah does beat Kansas State, even if they crush Kansas State, they're still gonna be, on the border of, a postseason matchup. So they're gonna want to come in and do the same to Kansas. So honestly, I think Iowa State is kind of their last breath of fresh air if they want to be bowl eligible.
Yeah, Utah's kind of on that bubble of the college football playoff, like you said. So they got no margin for error. So if they
Right.
want any shot at the playoff, they're going to have to win these two games, and they're probably going to have to win them pretty comfortably if they want to impress the college football playoff committee. But I think that's all we kind of got planned for this second episode of the Sunflower Showdown podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been fun. We're going to try to do these, I think, maybe once or twice a week with this podcast, but it's been fun. Just getting to talk about the Jayhawks and the Wildcats. You got anything else before we go?
Nope, that's it. I was gonna say the same thing. It's always great to hop on here. We'll see you all on the next episode.